Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price has been pumping like crazy due to a few different reasons. First, the Federal Reserve announced a massive bailout for the banks. Then the CEO of Binance, CZ, announced a $1 billion purchase of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. And finally, we have new CPI inflation numbers being released tomorrow, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So definitely stick around. First of all, starting off with the new CPI inflation numbers that will be released tomorrow. In fact, they will be released at 12:30 p.m. GMT time on the 14th of March. And based on expectations, first of all, based on consensus, these numbers should be coming in at around 6% year over year. And based on the trading economics forecast, this number should be coming in at around 6.1% year over year. So basically, if CPI inflation tomorrow comes in at around 6% to 6.1%, then it shouldn't really be a big deal for markets because that is pretty much what is expected. But if we see a large miss from those expectations, either to the downside or to the upside, then that is when we could see a lot more volatility in markets. First of all, if we see a miss to the downside, so if inflation comes in under 6%, then that would be bullish for markets. But on the flip side, if we see a miss to the upside, so well above 6.1%, then that would be bearish for markets. And basically, the further away from expectations we go, the more volatile that will be. So if we see a massive drop to the downside in inflation, let's just say if inflation comes in at around 5 to 5.5%, then in that case, we would likely see a very big move to the upside across markets, like the Bitcoin price, for example. But once again, on the flip side, if we see a massive miss to the upside, so for example, if inflation comes in at around 6.5% and actually rises again from the previous inflation number, then in that case, we would likely see a large move to the downside across markets, including the Bitcoin price, for example. And of course, I will be covering the new CPI inflation numbers in my next video that I'll post tomorrow on the channel. But if you want to know the new numbers as soon as they come out, within a minute of these numbers being released, then make sure to follow me over on my Twitter, because I update in real time over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment, so definitely check that out. And speaking of my Twitter updates, over the last one day, I have been sending out a lot of new updates over on my Twitter. First of all, on the USDC situation, this situation has now basically been resolved, because as you can see here, Circle, which is the company that issues USDC, is set to receive back 100% of its deposits from Silicon Valley Bank, which is of course one of the banks that recently collapsed. And how they're able to do this is because the Federal Reserve just bailed out the banks, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But basically, now that Circle is receiving back 100% of their deposits from Silicon Valley Bank, this now means that the USDC reserves are 100% backed once again. So 1 USDC now equals $1. And so this is of course good news for USDC and good news for the overall crypto market. And as for the Federal Reserve bailout, taking a look at this now, I won't be going through this entire press release. If you want to read this for yourself, it is over on the official Federal Reserve websites. But basically, all you need to know is that the Federal Reserve had an emergency meeting on a Sunday to announce that it will be providing additional funding to eligible depository institutions, such as banks, for example, so that the banks have the ability to meet the needs of all their depositors. So, for example, if there's more bank runs, then the Federal Reserve will just step in and essentially provide extra funding, extra money to the banks. And so this is, of course, a bank bailout and also a form of stimulus, which is actually bullish for markets. So almost immediately when this came out, the crypto market flipped bullish, and then it flipped even more bullish when this came out, which I also updated over on my Twitter in real time. And basically here we have a tweet from the CEO of Binance, CZ, saying that he will be converting the $1 billion Industry Recovery Initiative Fund, which is basically a recovery fund that Binance has. And once again, as he says here, Binance will convert this $1 billion from BUSD to other native crypto such as BTC, BNB, and ETH. So essentially with this tweet, CZ announced that he's going to be buying $1 billion worth of those three coins, worth of Bitcoin, BNB, and ETH, which is of course a lot of buying pressure. $1 billion added into the market is quite a big deal, especially when this is added on top of those other bullish catalysts which I just spoke about. And so with all of this going on, of course, we saw a massive bullish move in the crypto market. Now, to be fair, I did not actually expect a bullish move of this size in my last video, because on the chart, not many signals were showing a lot of bullish price action to come. But of course, as I just explained, a large amount of this bullish price action was caused by events outside of the charts, such as a Federal Reserve bailout and CZ buying $1 billion worth of crypto. So there are, of course, times in the market where it's worth paying attention to my real-time updates over on my Twitter. Once again, link down below. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin to US dollar chart on the daily time frame. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin has just run into this important range of resistance, which is coming into play in between 24.3K to 25.2K. And so once again, as I've said for a while now on this channel, this is still the important range of resistance here on the daily time frame. And as for support levels, based on the volume profile indicator, we could find a bit of support at around 23,000, give or take around $100 either side. But if we see a break back below 23K, then the next support is sitting closer towards 21,000 based on the volume profile indicator. And now, if you're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin RSI, obviously we've seen a significant bounce to the upside after reaching oversold territories just a few days ago. And in fact, right now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is finally breaking out above this descending line of resistance, which is one confirmation for the invalidation for this bearish divergence. So basically, this helps to invalidate this bearish divergence. But ideally, if we can begin to form a new uptrend in the RSI where we start to see higher highs and higher lows, then that provides even more invalidation for this bearish divergence. But at least for now, this is a sign that this bearish divergence is potentially no longer playing out. And so this is, of course, a bullish signal for the price of Bitcoin on the daily time frame. But obviously, we're still running into that important resistance for the price action. So we still need to really pay attention to 25.2K. Anything below 25.2K, and we're still in this massive sideways range that we've been in for over half a year. But if we see a confirmed breakout above 25.2K, then that would be extremely bullish for the price of Bitcoin. And as for some shorter term Fibonacci levels, this right here is on the 8-hour time frame, and technically these are Fibonacci levels of resistance. And obviously, as you can see here, at least at the time of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin has pretty much broken through all of these levels of resistance, which means right now these should be acting as levels of support if we end up seeing a bit of a retracement after this bullish move. First of all, we have some immediate short-term support at approximately 23.9K, but if we see a break below that level, then the next support would be sitting closer towards 23,000, give or take $100 either side, which once again lines up very well with the volume profile indicator. But below 23,000, then I would expect a drop down towards around 22.2 to 22.3K approximately, acting as some support. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily ETH to US dollar chart. And And right now, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is running into this important range of resistance, which is coming into play in between 1650 to 1.7k. And so once again, as I've said for a while now on this channel, this is obviously still the important range of resistance to pay attention to on the daily time frame. But if we see a confirmed breakout above 1.7k, then in that case, the next resistance levels to the upside would be sitting closer towards 1.8k, and above that level, then I'll be targeting closer towards $2,000. And as for support on the daily time frame, now that we've broken back above 1.5k, this should now be acting as new support. But other than that level, taking a look at the volume profile indicator, we should have some support at around 1.6k approximately. And just like I said earlier in the video for Bitcoin, if you're taking a look at the daily Ethereum RSI, obviously we've seen a significant bounce to the upside over the last few days, and right now the daily Ethereum RSI has just broken above this descending line of resistance, which is a bullish signal. And once again, as I also explained earlier in the video, this is a signal invalidating this bearish divergence, meaning that this bearish divergence is potentially no longer playing out anymore. But ideally, for things to flip even more bullish again, we need to start to see more of an uptrend forming here in the daily Ethereum RSI, like higher lows and higher highs, kind of like what we saw back here just before this massive bullish move. So essentially, we've already been bearish for a few weeks now, but we could be about to flip much more bullish again, ideally if we start to see more of an uptrend form in the RSI. And on top of that, we ideally need to see a confirmed breakout above 1.7k in order to flip much more bullish again. So at least as of right now, we're still basically in this sideways correction phase here on the daily time frame after that previous significant bullish move that we saw earlier this year. And as for some shorter term Fibonacci levels, this right here is on the 8-hour time frame, and technically speaking, these are Fibonacci levels of resistance. But as you can see here, at least at the time of recording this video, the price of ETH has broken through all of these Fibonacci levels of resistance in the shorter term, which means right now these should be acting as support levels in case we see a bit of a retracement. First of all, we have this previous Fibonacci level sitting at around 1650 approximately, which should be acting as a bit of short-term support. But if we see a break below 1650, then the next support to the downside is sitting in between around 1590 to 1.6k, and below that area, then the next support to the downside is sitting at around 1540 to 1550. And now, if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the downside, to the upside, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is either bearish or bullish, like right now, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in my next video.